brighter up here in the bedroom. So today I have all my favourite items that I've knitted since 2022 on my bed in order to discuss with you my yarn inclusivity, what yarns I enjoy knitting with, and it's a broad range, a wide range of yarns that I have had to track down, and also cost for my own budget. In this video, I will describe what I used, how much it cost, or how much it will cost now, because that's probably a better one to put in, and the content and the origins. So it's not going to be filed accordingly. But I will put little notes up on the screen with the information that you would like to see, I hope. So yeah, I want to start with what I'm wearing, and this particular little cowl was made in 4 of the colours I really liked, and 4 of the yarns that I used mainly sort of at the beginning of my knitting journey on YouTube, and that was when I started with a lot of cones I was given, and they were wool. I think they may have been superwash wool, and I had lots of different fine to 4-ply to 1 or 2 double knit cones, and therefore I wanted to marl them, and I did a lot of marling in 2022, and you can see this on my episode 12 if you go back through my knitting podcast list. And I describe a lot of these jumpers there, so I'm not going to really talk too much about that. I just want to tell you what I used with them and what I chose to use with them. So I was gifted a lot of yarn. So my first yarn, let me just have a look on my screen, was the Holst Garn Super Soft wool. And I got 4 different colours. I got the aubergine, which is this one, obviously. I got the calypso, which is this one. And I think this was the kingfisher, which is that bluey green there. And I also got the Tides wool silk in spice, which is that one. Now the cost of the wool silk spice for a little 50-gram ball is $3.36. I'll put the pound and the euro on in the description below, or on the screen below, should I say. The Holst Garn super soft wool is practically around about the same sort of price. It's roughly $3.12 at the moment, although it's $3.90, and that's for a 50-gram ball. But I didn't buy a 50-gram ball. I bought 4 500-gram cones and had them delivered from Denmark. And this cowl goes with a number of my different articles of clothing that I knit. For instance, this jumper, let me just come up, has all the colours in the jumper. You can see that the aubergine is mixed, blended in there, the kingfisher in there, and the spice in there and the calypso in there. The 500 gram cone costs at the moment $33.41. Just out of interest, the information about the cone, or whether you get 50 gram ball or the cone, is that you have 575 meters or 627 yards per 100 grams. So you can calculate that on how many yards or meters you would get in a 500 gram cone by timesing that by 5. The cones are delivered unwashed, but to be fair, there was no oily smell. It was like as if they had already been washed. Well, super washed. And there's a number of different colours that I like in that selection, but I chose these ones. Also, the Holst Garn I used in the calypso in this pair of socks, which I love. I wear these quite a bit. They're double knit socks, and they were made on a pair of needles. They were knit flat. The join is actually along there. The socks were to match this fisherman's rib jumper. Again, marled, using the calypso with varying other colours. The calypso was also used in this Mohair blend. I think there were 2 strands of Mohair in this one with a strand of the calypso. The kind of the limey green in here, if I wear a mustardy top underneath this, it kind of changes the colour to mustardy colour in the greens, strangely. There you go. As you can see, look, my glasses help. One of my other favourites is this Carol Feller top with a shaped hem. And that came out of a book she wrote on short rows. And this includes the lovely purpley plummy aubergine. The spice was knitted into this particularly beautiful Aran top. So my cowl goes with most of these tops. I also used the Kingfisher in a large boxy v-neck cardigan I made in the same emerald mohair that I used before in that other top, and it just gives an extra little depth to the green. So that's the Holst Garn. The next yarn that I do like is the Sandnes Garn P Gynt, and this jumper here is a vintage jumper that I knitted into a circular yoke, and actually I knitted it from the bottom upwards, and I used a very vintage pattern for the very old vintage pattern from Wendy's Shetland Symphony, I think it was at the time, to create the lace pattern. And they're not exactly the same as the pattern, but I have used that pattern again in a more recent jumper, which I'll show you later. But this is the Peer Gynt, and it was 2544. Now, I can't find that on the SKD wool site, which is a distributor in Wales, I think it is, North Wales, for the Sandnes Garn yarns. Looking at the price of it now, I have a similar one, the Peer Gynt 2035, which has a more sort of mustardy flavour to it. And the cost of that now is, just for a 50-gram ball, £3.90. And it has 91 metres on it. And it's a great tension gauge for a double knit, which this was. I wear this an awful lot. I love this one. It's not uncomfortable to wear at all for me. Yeah. So let's go back to my yes, the one I was wearing last week was made using 3 balls of West Yorkshire spinners, ColourLab, in a beautiful blue, a beautiful apple green, and a blend of pink. That's the jumper. I put that together with some Drops Kid Silk Mohair and knitted it on a 5mm needle. So it's nice and light. I'll put the costs and everything at the bottom for that one, because I can't find that just now. My most favourite cushion is made from the Spindrift by Jamieson and Smith. It's made with 5 colours, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in fact 6 colours, because the main colour is violet. It just shows you that you can get bright colours for from Spindrift, the Shetland wool. It's made in little 2-ply balls of 25 grams, and they cost £3.90 per ball if you get them directly from Shetland, James of Shetland. In my local shop the prices differ. You get them either £6 or £7 a ball. To get it direct from the supplier, you can get them for a lot cheaper than I can get them locally. What I tended to do was buy a ball of each at the shop where it was a little cheaper at the time. So I bought a ball of each, and they've all created this garment, and I had some left as well. So how many colours have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there's about 7. I think I probably had about a couple of balls of this colour. But they do go a long way. I had 1 ball of each of the different colours and 5 balls of the violet to make this one, and I still had a lot left. Yes, cotton. There was an offer on Woolly Knits cotton last year, 100% 4-ply cotton, and I think it was something like £15 for a cone. I mean, obviously all of these that I've bought are plus delivery, but I think it was about £15 for the cone. I think now if you go on there, I will put the price down at the bottom for you, but Woolly Knits is the place to get that. And I got 4 different colours. I got soft pink, celeste blue, the one they call sunflower at the moment. I got one called sulphur, which was quite similar. And the other one was crimson red. I loved them all. I've made, I'm still in the process of going through celeste blue on a couple of tops, but the one that was the favourite and that we all liked last year was the crimson red cotton top. Which had a little crochet bottom. Now this took, because it was I doubled it because it's 4-ply, so I held 2 strands together, and I didn't have much left after using a 400-gram cone. What I have done this year, because this was quite a popular top, is I have now designed a pattern where the increase on the circular yoke is knitted into the pattern. That will be coming up soon. I've typed it. It's already typed. I have to now make sure that the lace pattern grades into the yoke sizes, all the yoke sizes, and I've done sizes from extra small to 3 extra large. That's something like 52-inch bust, I think, something like that. So yes, that's one of my favourites. I don't think I've got any more there. Oh yes, of course. The pink, which is the darker one, was marled into this cardigan, the shawl cardigan. With lace cardigan, similar to the earlier Sandnes Garn top. This was marled into this cardigan with another yarn that I have been really enjoying, and that is the recycled yarn by Stylecraft. It's called Stylecraft Recreate, and it comes in various colours and thicknesses. That was the double knit, and I am actually wearing today my skirt in the chunky avocado. I'll put the prices on the screen for those. So where are we up to next? I have a number of, I had bought a number of cones from Uppingham yarns, which included the Shetland tight wool in Robin's Egg, which is a 4-ply on a 500-gram cone. And I have actually spoken about what I'm knitting with this before. To get the 500-gram cone. It costs about £19.50, which is very reasonable. I got the robin's egg. Oh yes, and the sloe, which is a very deep purple. And then to marl in with that, and I have used this quite a bit in various other projects, I got the merino wool 230, which is a 1-ply. Now it's a bright yellow and it is very much a fluorescent. It's actually called giallo fluo or gais, and it's a merino wool, and it's made in where's it made now? Italy. Yeah, it's a pure 100% pure merino wool. Now I got this again on a cone. I got it on a 250-gram cone, and it's still going strong, and that is £19. So the whole jacket that I am knitting, and I'll put a photograph of it up here, it'll come to about £57. So that's quite a bit, granted, but some of, to buy the wool for it, but some of it, the merino wool is still going strong, so I only use a fraction of that. In my secret stash of knitted garments, I have been using my beautiful cashmere from Orkney Goats yarn. Now, I would say that was some of my most expensive yarns that I purchased. It was something like £22 for, I think it was 100 grams. That isn't very expensive for here, but I'm sure that was 100 grams. I got 2 of those, and it has done a little chemise top. And what I did was I held it together with North Ronaldsay yarns, the 2-ply yarn, and that is from our local breed. And I think that cost me between £12 and £15 for a 100-gram hank of that. £15 I think when it's dyed, £12 when it's not. That is a very reasonable price. Another beautiful yarn that I really love is the Isle of Oscary yarns, and there's some of the colours that the Isle of Oscary yarns are dyed into. They are generally a rare North Ronaldsay sheep breed that are kept solely on an island inhabited by one family. I shall put a link in the description to how they produce the wool and what life is like on the Isle of Oscary in the description below, because it's so interesting. And Hamish Oscary has been doing Oscary, I always get this wrong. Hamish has been doing a series of videos on the life of his parents on this island and the sheep. And he is a TV presenter who took time off his career to help on the island. It's very interesting. So yeah, but have a little look at that. So I love that, and I've made the Sophie scarf, the small one, in that one, and I've also used some of that yarn in my secret project. So I'm not showing you any of those as yet. I've just recently bought the Boma from ZoloWool.com, and I've started to make a little cardigan from that. Again, that's in my secret stash, or my secret project. So I'm not showing you any of those. They will come later, but the Zolo is from Catalan. It's from a Ripolesa sheep breed, and the yarn is so lovely, well spun, holds well, knits well, love it. It costs about €7.95. I'll put the price at the bottom for you. And I got that direct from the lady in Catalan herself. There isn't a UK distributor for this particular yarn, and it's made by a company called Zolla, Xolla, wool.com. In fact, actually, you can see her on YouTube. Again, I'll put all the links in the description, and I will put a price, content, origins along the bottom of the screen here. So those are all the natural, beautiful natural yarns that I have used over the past 2 years. Now on to a more controversial side, and that is the yarns that I use for knitting everything else. This is where I get into so much trouble and people leave me. Don't understand why, because as you can see, I knit with a lot of yarns, but I do like to focus on the budget yarns because I know how I felt when I started knitting, and I didn't always use wool, couldn't afford to use wool. I can't afford to use wool much now, so I tend to go back into my comfort zone where I know I can afford some things. So, like I say, last year I made the Pope Vergara plain circular yoke in Stylecraft batik. Now that's not cheap, but I only used 2 balls, and I think they're 150 grams, aren't they? But I'll put it along the bottom there for you. I only used 2. So I really got my money's worth from that one, and I wear that a lot. Love that one. Last year I designed the daffodil and tulip suit, and that involves all colours of the rainbow. One of my favourite colours is the magenta, that one there. So beautiful yellows, sage, magenta, orangey, spicy colours, and the red. So I love that. And I also made a skirt to match it. I've been knitting a lovely shaped top from my old 1998 Spring Summer Vogue magazine, which I found eventually. And I've been knitting it in the cerise colour by King Cole Prize DK. The reason I'm using this is it transitions well into spring, and the yarn being 100% premium polyester is also good for sportswear, so because it's breathable. So therefore I am not going to get very hot in that top, and living in Orkney you don't ever get that hot, so hot that it's too uncomfortable. I don't think we ever go any further than 24, degrees centigrade. Although it was quite hot last June. I can't remember what it went up to, but it'll have been in one of my garden videos. If you go into my garden podcast below, it'll be in there. So this is the Vogue knitting magazine that I bought, and that's the top. Beautiful long top, a very shapely top. So I'm knitting that in that to test out whether that's true. The other thing I have been doing a lot of is using up scrap yarns. Now, my stash busting dress is made up of many different blends. Some of them have got little bits of wool in it. That one has. So has that. That was Stylecraft Batik, but this is a stash busting. It got rid of a lot of little bits of yarn I had left. And I also made a waistcoat as well. So I do use different yarns that people have given me that are yarns they don't use themselves anymore. So, for instance, I made the headband here out of ice yarn, and I made a cowl to go with it. So that was ice yarns, a blend of ice yarns, and I also finished off the ice yarns Mohair hat the other day. Just slightly, this is just slightly big on my head, just slightly, but it's okay, it's warm. It's the main thing, isn't it? I did that in my first time making a hat in a brioche stitch and shaping it at the top. You can't see it very well, but I did a 3-corner hat here. So yeah, that's what I've done with that. But finally, as I said a few minutes ago, because I've been making a lot of crocheted baby clothes last week for my coffee.com shop, Ko-fi, I've heard it said so many different ways. I would like to say coffee.com because it's about buying a coffee for me if you like what I do. It's a little donation of £1, £2, £3. That's all I've got on there. I don't put £5 up. At least I don't think I did. Or did I? Oh no, I think I did £1, £3, £5, so it don't matter. So, I have a long time ago, and I don't know how long ago it is. I can't remember. I can't remember whether I was here. Possibly in the Outer Hebrides. I used scrap yarns again to make little dresses. I love that one. I think I might put that one up on the shop. What do you think? Should I put that one up on the shop? Yeah, why not? I like that. I think that's cute. And that was made with little scraps of acrylic yarns. I think that was Stylecraft. Here's another one. These are all 20-inch chest size, so I think that's about 6, probably would do 6 to 12-month-old baby. Here's another little one that I like with some ribbon in. That's cute. That's a bit smaller, I think, in some ways. And that one. this one. Another little one. I think it's that side. And that one. That one. And that one. And these are all designed, this dress pattern is all designed by myself. So, and it's all done in crochet, and it's all done in acrylic, Stylecraft acrylic scraps. They're quite heavy because the Stylecraft, when crocheted on I think this was on a 3.5 or 3.75 mil crochet hook, has a quite heavy fabric, and it's not, you can't see through it as much. So these were all designed by myself and crocheted by myself using scraps of the Stylecraft Special DK. So if you think that they will be nice up on my coffee.com shop, coffee.com Sorcerer and Lilac shop, just put a comment down below for me. That helps me decide whether I should do that or not. I always like people's own feelings on the matter, you know what I mean? I like that. I like to discuss that. So I think that's enough of all my particular yarn likes, and I don't have many dislikes. I've got to say, I don't have many dislikes. I will try anything. Somebody said in the comments on my community post, I like to try different foods. So yes, I like to try different yarns, and that's the same for me. I will try different foods. I will try to cook different foods, and from different parts of the world. I enjoy that. I love cookery programs from different parts of the world. So therefore, I don't see why we all shouldn't try to be more inclusive about our yarn usage. Yes, cost is a big deal these days, and therefore we may have to use eBay or other sale platforms, or we may have to track down sales, do more legwork to get a better, shall we say, better price for our yarns. I mean, here it's more difficult because we live on an island. So when you live on an island, you have to take into account that the yarn or any product, even food, is more expensive here because it comes across the sea to get to us, or it is flown in by aeroplane. So therefore you've got to understand that things for me are more costly for you than for you. Petrol is enormously expensive in comparison to mainland petrol. If we travel anywhere and we need petrol, we get it at Tesco's in Wick because it's cheaper. We might fill up here because we need to get off the island, for instance. We will fill up here. We always fill up here. But if we're travelling down south when we get off the island, we generally fill up at Tesco's at Wick, because it is a lot cheaper on the mainland. So yeah, when you live on an island, you have to take that all into consideration. So I buy locally because I do like to support my local yarn shop. I do buy from local providers of sheep's wool, because I like to try them. I like to show them to you because they're a little bit different, aren't they? The North Ronaldsay sheep wool is a seaweed eating sheep. So you can imagine that the wool is going to be a different texture to most hand-spun wools, and although it is spun by machine up on the on the island of North Ronaldsay, there's a little community mill there. You know, the wool is shipped all over the place from there, but they keep a reasonable price, which I find very heartwarming. So for someone like me who would like to knit something in wool, that would be one I would probably go for. And the Shetland wool is another one. Although you can get Shetland wool on cone as well. You can get the cones if you want to knit a bigger garment. I think it's a different company. Yes, so I've still got a lot of things in the pipeline, and my secret project will be coming up soon. I have my pattern to be tested, and I've done the grading part of it, but tested, and then somebody to look at the pattern to make sure I've done it right and that it reads well. I can't remember what they call that. I'll put the word in the bottom. My brain goes dead sometimes. So I've got a lot of that to come, and I want to photograph my new pattern on the beach in Sandnes, because I'm going to call my new top by one of our Orkney names, because I think you'll love it. And it also has a little link with the pattern from a recent discovery, but this is all secretness. I've got a lot of secret stuff going on in the background here, and it'll all come out in the wash. Don't worry, you will see it. So keep watching, keep subscribing, keep liking, keep commenting. The more views and likes and comments and shares, or share it if you'd like me to share what I've been talking about today, please share it with other people, because all these things help me to get to a wider audience, and an audience that's interested in yarn inclusivity. I'm not keen on yarn snobbishness, because I think it's okay when you can afford to buy these kinds of wools. You've got to think of two things: washability and price. Mainly the other way around, price and washability. I'd love to do all of those. I knit my mum a beautiful jumper from Cashmerino yarns, which I bought in Holmfirth at the Rowan shop years and years ago. She loved it, but she washed it. It shrunk. And all the work that you put into that, and all the love that you put into that, and it was a design that I'd created for her. It's, you know, it's disheartening, isn't it? So, and it was disheartening for her because obviously she loved the jumper and she couldn't wear it now anymore. There are a lot of things to think about when you're knitting for someone else, particularly. If you're knitting for yourself, there are, particularly with the wools, is don't wash them too often. In fact, many people just wash them once a year, if that. I was watching a Norwegian knitter who was snow washing hers this winter. She snow washes her jumpers and then she leaves them out overnight. Can you imagine them freezing up? And then she brings them in and that washes them. It gets rid of the bugs. Believe it or not. That surprised me, that did. I don't have enough snow to do that here, I'm afraid. Even after this year's snowfall. It doesn't last that long. But I should, if I'd have known that before, I would have been doing it because it was a good idea. So there you go. That's me for today. And I hope you've enjoyed that little chat and seeing all the things I've knitted. So come back next time and see what I'm up to for spring. So, if anything, keep knitting. And whatever yarn it is in, I will love to see it. So when we've actually got my pattern up and for sale, I would love you to knit it in any yarn you can afford and you can like. So, keep knitting. Oh, a little postscript. I wanted to ask, would you like me to put some double knit socks up on my coffee.com web shop? I haven't knitted them yet, but if you do, would you comment below what kind of yarn you would like me to try to use this time? They are made in double knit yarn, so just out of interest, because it's a small project and I only need about 100 grams to do it. That's 50 gram per sock, and they're so cozy, and they're knitted on 2 needles, not 4. And yeah, I just want to know what you think. Would you like to see them up on the shop too? So, see you soon. Bye now.